You ready?
All set.
All right. Well, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Everett Thompson. I'm your chairman today, and I'm glad we could all meet, at least Zooming each other. Let me get it started with this comment. Members of the committee are hereby advised of their duty under the State Government Ethics Act to avoid conflicts of interest and the appearance of conflict, and are instructed to refrain from participating in any matter coming before this committee with respect to which there is a conflict of interest or appearance of conflict. So if there's an item in here, a person in here that you feel like there's a conflict, you can recuse yourself and not vote on it. You can just tell us that. All right. But I appreciate everybody being here. Okay, we move the item number 1 on our agenda, which is the review of the administrative committee procedures. And what we have attached to our documents in the computer is a multi-page administrative procedure, which is really good to have for us to look over, and then you understand how we do things and why we do things. Now, Peter has some comments to make about a couple of things in there just to explain some things.
Yeah, I won't read the whole thing to you, but there were a couple items just to make sure that we're all aware of. In the in general section, I think it's good to point out that most items are moved in a group, especially the ones that are for approving petitions for inactive status, that we don't have to handle each one of those matters individually. And that the committee has the ability to grant conditional approvals. So if someone is petitioned for inactive status but has not yet paid an outstanding CLE fee, or there's something outstanding in their application, the committee can grant a conditional approval. So if that petitioner complies with that requirement before the next committee, then before the next committee meeting, they can be transferred without having to come back to the committee. The dues notices are now sent by email, and we do send a reminder postcard to lawyers in November or December of the year prior, alerting them to their dues requirements. In item number 4, which is requests for waivers of dues, the administrative committee does not, based off our reading on the statute and historically, we do not grant waivers of dues payments. What we do have the discretion to do in this committee is grant inactive status nunc pro tunc for a lawyer. If that lawyer did not practice, let's say a lawyer stopped practicing in October of 2019, but does not petition for a sufficient explanation, does not petition for inactive status until late 2020, and can show with an explanation and materials that the lawyer did not practice at all in 2020, then the committee has the ability to grant inactive status nunc pro tunc back to the end of 2019, so that lawyer would not be responsible for the 2020 dues. That is at the discretion of this committee. There is I wanted to alert the committee of a rule amendment that is going to be heard in the executive committee this quarter that would propose that we, well, let me back up and say, if you are inactive for 7 or more years after 2011, so if you're inactive for 7 or more years, in lieu of completing 7 years worth of CLE, you are required to take the North Carolina bar exam. The disciplinary rules have a similar rule for being reinstated from suspended status for more than 7 years, and they are proposing, and we are mirroring the proposal to add the completion of the MPRE, the professional responsibility exam, to that requirement. So that would only be effective for anybody who becomes inactive once the rule takes effect. 7 years from now, they would have to complete the MPRE and the bar exam to be reinstated. So that's a proposed rule change that's at the executive committee. There is when someone is petitioning for reinstatement, especially from suspension, If the petition discloses a character or fitness issue, this committee still may hear it. They can deny the petition upon a finding that there's probable cause to believe that the petitioner will be detrimental to the administration of justice and subversive of the public interest. If there are reasons listed in the materials. When we get to a matter this year, when and if we have a matter where there's potential character and fitness issues that we have to have a full discussion, especially if there is a grievance pending against a petitioner, we will provide additional materials to help this committee with those decisions. Because we do have the ability to admit a lawyer, readmit a lawyer who has a grievance investigation against them. But if there is an investigation that the grievance, the Office of Counsel believes might warrant potential suspension or disbarment, then this committee has, to be careful not to let somebody in who then is going to immediately become suspended or disbarred through a disciplinary action. Those are the only ones I really wanted to point out. As we go throughout the year, there's going to be other things that come up, like reviewing of district bar bylaws and issues like that. But for today, I think that's enough, especially for the new members to swallow, and especially get us through this meeting as it relates to, which is a January meeting, is the meeting where we get most of our petitions for inactive status.
Okay. Y'all set?
That's it.
All right. So we have Roman numeral 2 is the report of the committee meeting in October, which all of our recommendations were approved by the council. So then I'll go on to Roman numeral 3. Well, this is the petition for inactive status. Those petitions are not attached, but you see that we have a great number of those. We actually, in the original one, we have 169 in the original agenda, and then we have an amendment for 6 more. So it's 175 members who are requesting to be inactive, and they've completed everything that needs to be in to comply with that. So we don't have to go through each one of them separately. We have any discussion?
Everett, just as a note to the committee, we need to remove number 35, Peter Underhill.
Well, he's in Roman numeral 3B.
Oh, 3B. I apologize, Everett. Yep, you're right.
We'll do that.
I'm done. I jumped the gun.
That's no problem. All right. If we have any other discussions, but then do we have a motion?
I would move their collective approval, including the petitions on our addendum.
Okay. Do we have a second?
I would second that motion.
Thank you. Okay. Any further discussion? All right.
And
now,
Everett, if I could interrupt you again right now to let everyone know that the voting method we're going to use today is a poll. So I'm going to launch a poll that will pop up and ask you to vote yes or no on the motion on the floor. The Zoom features were changed. We learned this morning, that the yes and no buttons and all of those reaction buttons are now a lot more finicky. They actually they delete themselves, like they go away after a certain number of seconds. So trying to do this and accurately record a vote becomes very difficult. So we're going to be using the poll feature. So it should just pop up here on your screen right now to be able to just vote on the motion. And we have unanimous 17-0.
good. Now we're good. Roman numeral 3B. This is requesting inactive status, but have not fulfilled all the requirements. And we have listed 40, but we are removing number 35, Peter Underhill. He's asked us to withdraw his petition for now. He may want to have it redone later, but right now he doesn't want it done. So it's 39 of them right here. And the amount that they owe is on the right-hand column. And typically we're looking for them to comply by the next meeting in April if we approve that. Any discussions on that? And do I have a motion?
Move to approve.
Move to approve fulfilling the requirements by April 2021. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay, got a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Let's go back to the poll and do that one.
That's approved unanimously.
Okay, now we go to Roman numeral 3C. This is request for inactive status not pro tunc, and Peter described what not pro tunc is all about. And we have actually 5 requests here, and all of them but one are requesting not pro tunc at the end of 2019 for all kinds of conditions that they were undergoing and age, and but not practicing. But the number one was Henry Anderson. And I know y'all have reviewed that one. That's a very unique one because it goes back actually 4 years. But there's some really good reasons why he's not practiced law in 4 years. And sometimes what we can do is we can vote on all these as one time without having to go through each one of them separately. If anybody wants, if everybody's okay with that. If you want to do them separately, somebody can speak up. But if we want to do them all together, we'd like to have a motion for that.
I have a question on number 2, please.
Yes.
On number 2, it's actually 2 or 3 questions. Do you have anything that indicates that he actually moved away in May of 2019, and were the notices sent to his law firm returned to the state bar?
Tammy might be able to answer that one. I don't have all those details, but I think we have the documents that he said he did. But I think we're fairly
Do
sure.
you know if the notices were returned, or if they were forwarded by his firm? I'm just curious as to how he did not know that he still owed his dues.
Right. Well, he would have paid everything through the end of 2019.
What we can do right now, we'll pull up that information for you, Judge Hennett, and maybe pull that one out of the group, and we will come back to you with the answer, because we can pull the most recent service information for you.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Chair, I would make a motion that we approve the other 4 numbers 1, 3, 4, and 5 not pro tunc, with number 1 being not pro tunc to 2016, 3, 4, and 5 being not pro tunc to 2019.
Second.
You have a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor say aye, or opposed say nay, but you have to do it on the poll there.
Oh, hold on one sec. That's my fault.
You got more work to do this time.
Right.
But we'll come back to number 2, David Bazilwich. Just remind me to do that. Okay. All right, so now we go to Roman numeral 4.
Approved, 17-0.
Yep, okay. We've got a Roman number 4. This is a petition for inactive status and emeritus pro bono status. So basically, we're doing 2 different things. We're doing the inactive status that we would normally do right at the beginning, but we're also adding to them what they want to add is an emeritus pro bono. And
I'll just jump in for the new members. Emeritus pro bono status allows an inactive lawyer to volunteer at services like legal aid under the supervision of a North Carolina lawyer. So we encourage retiring lawyers and inactive lawyers who still want to give back to do this under the supervision of a licensed North Carolina lawyer at a legal services organization.
And basically, like the other inactive, they've done everything they need to do to be inactive. But we have 2 different names here. But let's do the first one. David Drufus, I think I pronounced his name right. And this is he's going to want to go be inactive and go pro bono with the legal aid of North Carolina. Do we have any discussions on that one, or do we have just go ahead and have a motion?
I would move the approval of his petition, Mr. Chair.
Okay, got a second?
Second.
All right, all right. Now we can vote.
And that's unanimous.
Okay. All right, our next item is Adam Stein of Chapel Hill. He has one thing that he hasn't done. He's not paid $75 of CLE late filing fees. He's done everything else, and he's requesting a waiver. And as Peter pointed out to us earlier, we can't do the waiver, but the CLE committee can waive it if they want to, or he can pay it. So basically what we could do is if we wanted to approve it, we would approve it if he paid it or it got waived, one or the other. And we could agree to that.
That's right. The CLE board does have rules that allow them to waive their late filing fees. Membership fees do not have that language.
I move he be approved.
Okay, it'd be approved if he pays it or he gets waived. I assume that's the motion.
Right.
Okay, got a second? Somebody?
Second.
All right. Okay. And we can vote.
That's unanimous.
Okay, then we go to Roman numeral 5. This is a petition for reinstatement from inactive status. And of course, when you go inactive, you do that voluntarily, and then you got to come back, you got to jump through the hoops. But on this one, the first one, number A, Roman numeral 5A, they've been approved by our secretary, so we don't need to vote on those. That's 8 of them. They comply with everything. Then we go to Roman numeral 6. This is a petition for reinstatement from suspension. This is when then the committee has suspended, the bar has suspended someone, so they're trying to get back in. So it's Roman numeral A is the ones that is the one, Amy Puckett, who was suspended for less than 1 year, and that has been approved by the secretary because she's done everything she needs to do. So we don't need to vote on that. And then we go to, I'm sorry.
Okay, Ever, I was just going to say for the new members that the secretary has the authority to reinstate suspended lawyers who have been suspended for less than 1 year in between meetings.
Yeah, they have to have complied with all the rules.
That's right.
Okay, we go to Roman numeral 6B. This is ones that want reinstatement, but of course it's more than a year, but have fulfilled all requirements. Now, the first one is Scott Gorlick. And if you've read his reports in the information we have, there was an issue about whether he had filed his 2019 taxes. He has filed he's filed with us additional documents supporting that he has filed his 2019 taxes. He said he didn't owe any money, but he filed the taxes. But he wanted to appear with us, and I don't know if he's here or not.
He is. I'm going to let him in. So he's in the waiting room, but I'm going to bring Mr. Gorlick in to address the committee or answer any questions that you may have.
Is he with us?
Hi, Mr. Gorlick, are you there? Oh, he's adding audio right now. Hi, Mr. Gorlick, you're muted. If you would just unmute yourself, there we go. We're still not hearing you. I'm wondering if your computer microphone is muted, not just the Zoom situation is muted. When you're talking, we're just not hearing any volume from you. Nope, still not hearing. No. Sometimes there's a microphone button that could be muted on the computer itself.
I wonder if he can hear you.
He says, 1 second. We're still not hearing you, Mr. Gorlick. It looks like you're unmuted in Zoom. Okay. If you'd like to try to call in, we can continue on the agenda, and I can send you the number if you want to call into the meeting. Okay. Is that okay with you, Everett?
That's fine. We can move on. Come back to this. Okay, we'll move on to the next one, which is Roman numeral 6C. And this is for non-fulfillment of all requirements. And we have an addendum, so we have two there. That we started out with one, but now we have two. So the first one is Douglas Ferguson. And what we have there is that he needs 3.5 hours of ethics and 6 general hours, and he owes 2021 membership fees. So if we want to approve that, he'll have to do all that by April 2021. Any discussions on that one? And if not, do we have a motion?
I would move the approval of his petition upon fulfilling the requirements by the April 2021 meeting.
Good. Got a second?
Second.
And we have a second. Any other discussions? Then let's just vote on that one.
And that's unanimous.
Okay, we've got an amendment. And this is William Pierce. And that was filed, I think yesterday maybe. But he has done all of his CLE, but he owes $660.86 in CLE fees. He owes $680 of membership fees and $480 in his judicial district fees. So that basically, if we want to approve that, he'd have to pay all that money by April meeting. So any other discussions on that one? I have a motion.
I would move the approval of his petition upon fulfilling the requirements by the April 2021 meeting.
Okay,
Second.
all right, we have a vote.
And that's unanimous.
Okay, then we go to Roman numeral 7. This is a petition for pro bono practice for out-of-state lawyers. And the ones we have fulfilled all requirements. Now that's where they would not be licensed, basically. They wouldn't be lawyers in North Carolina, but they'd be working with the legal aid and that would be legal aid, wouldn't it? Yeah. Okay. So we have two of those there. So we have any discussions on those. So we can vote on them all together. Okay. Do I have a motion?
So moved. I move for their approval.
And second?
Second.
Okay. We have a vote. So that's 100% in.
Yep, that's unanimous.
Okay, the last item we have on our agenda is Roman numeral 8, which is the request for issues of notice of show cause. What you have is in your agenda, you have a list of lawyers in all the different districts and the reasons why they would get a notice of show cause or a request for suspension because they haven't done certain things, and it's all listed in that list. And what we'd like you to do is to call the lawyers in your district and just give them a heads up that if they don't go ahead and do this, they're going to get their notices. So it helps us eliminate some things that we have to do. So you can do that. And that's something you can do in the next week or two. we need to go back to two things. One is we may have, Peter mentioned to me that we may get in the mail requests for inactive status that was postmarked before our meeting, but we didn't get it in the mail because the mail is slow. And the request would be if we get it, and of course they qualify, would it be all right for me as a chairman to approve them to go to the inactive status? We'd have to make sure they were clear to do that, but if they are, then you could allow me to approve that.
Yeah, so that's that would like a motion kind of delegating that authority to the chair for any matters that are received that were postmarked in the appropriate time, but just received late due to mail delays.
Do we have a motion for that?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
All right. Give me more work to do, right? All right, we're gonna vote on that. Okay.
Everett, I do believe we have Mr. Gorlick has called in.
Got him on the phone?
Got him on the phone.
Okay.
You're muted, Mr. Gorlick, at this point, but I think we have you in here. Welcome.
Before our meeting, but we didn't get it in the mail because the mail.
You would, yeah, turn off the YouTube stream. Great. Everett,
Yeah.
we welcome Mr. Gorlick and ask him to,
Yeah,
happy to hear any remarks or answer
sure.
any questions.
Can you hear me, Mr. Gorlick?
Yes, thank you very much. I apologize for the technical difficulty. I was on a Zoom meeting this morning, so why this happened, I can't tell you, but I apologize.
Well, I understand how that can happen. You're welcome to talk to our committee here about you're wanting to be reinstated and any issues.
Yes,
come up about that. Go ahead.
Okay, I have a brief statement. I know your time is limited. First, let me apologize. I tried to get the reflection out of my glasses, but there was nothing. Maybe someone's got a tip on that. My kids could probably tell me how. Let me just say, ladies and gentlemen of the State Bar, I realize you're the administrative committee. I hope that you, your families, and your colleagues are all well and staying safe during this very challenging time. I am honored and humbled to be here today. It is with the utmost respect and sincerity that I request that you grant me readmission to the North Carolina State Bar, of which I was a proud and productive member for over 25 years. I must admit that while nervous, I'm also quite excited about this opportunity. As stated in my petition, I fervently hope that you'll grant my readmission. I've deeply missed my bar membership, and while it may sound sappy or corny to those of you of my generation who remember that phrase, I have missed my bar membership, and while as a North Carolina native, as the first lawyer in my family, and after being a North Carolina lawyer for most of my working life, I really do feel incomplete without it. It was part of my identity for as long as I can remember. I'm proud to say this with my full heart and mind, and I hope that you can hear this in the tenor with which I'm stating it. God willing, I have more time on this earth in which to work, contribute, and give back. I have been very blessed and have been a North Carolina attorney. Being a North Carolina attorney is certainly one of those blessings. I truly hope that you will see it in your hearts and minds to restore that to me. I sincerely believe that I would be an upstanding member of the bar and would be able to contribute to society as such, and I thank you very much for your consideration.
Okay. Anyone have any questions?
And
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
no,
Okay.
no, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, anyone
Hope
have
my
any
materials.
questions for Mr. Gorlick? Peter will let you speak up if you want to. What I think I said earlier was that the records that we have is Mr. Gorlick has done everything that's required, and including filing his 2019 taxes. So he's completed all the requirements as he typically would have to do. And that's all in the records too. Okay. Anybody have any discussions about this? Do we have a motion?
I would move approval of this application.
Yes. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, we got a second. Any other discussions? And let's go ahead and vote on it.
And that's unanimous.
Well, congratulations, Mr. Gorlick. You're being reinstated.
Thank you very much. You don't know how much it means. I really appreciate it.
All right. Take care. All right.
Thank you, Mr. Gorlick.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate all the help.
We have. You'll take him out, I guess, Peter. Yeah, there we go. We have one item we have to come back to, and it's under Roman numeral 3C, number 2, which is the non-pro-tunc request by David Basilwick, if I pronounced that right. We had some questions about him leaving the state and notices and that sort of thing. If we get any more information on that, Peter?
I've been looking, Tammy or Deborah, did you have anything?
I think what he's referring to when he says he didn't receive the notices after he left his practice at the end of May was any notices that we were sending him about paying or complying with the CLE. It wasn't necessarily the notice to show cause. He was served with the notice to show cause. He was served with a CLE notice to show cause on September 3rd, and then the membership notice to show cause was served on November the 23rd. So I think he's just referring to, when he moved, he was not getting the ordinary notices to pay or comply. Excuse me, but after he was served, he then sent his letter to respond to the notice to show cause and his inactive petition.
And Judge Hennett, the normal letters and notices are not sent certified in a way that we would get any kind of service back or return back. They're sent in a big mail bunch, and so I don't think I can't find any record of anything being returned to the bar.
Thank you.
Any other discussions with that, Judge?
No.
Okay. If we don't have any other discussions about this, I do have a motion to approve non-pro-tunc at the end of 2019. I think Scott Hartman.
I would make that motion approving it non-pro-tunc to December 31st, 2019.
Do we have a second?
And I second it.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, just go ahead and vote or deny, whatever you want to do.
Motion carries 15-2.
Okay, well, that's all we have on our agenda today. Anybody have any questions? Anything else you want to discuss? Otherwise, we can close out. We can all turn our Zoom off.
For a few minutes. Yeah.
That's right. Okay, thank you all for attending.
Thank you.
And,
Thank you very much.